In 1984, Austrian entrepreneur Dietrich Mateschitz created an energy drink that would give people wings. But Mateschitz had a vision far greater than just selling beverages. He dreamed of building a global empire that would redefine sports marketing, challenge traditional football hierarchies, and prove that an energy drink could become one of the most powerful forces in not just world football, but in sports all around the world. Today, that dream has become a reality. Red Bull doesn't just sponsor football clubs. They control all sports and use their dominance for a revolutionary type of marketing. This is the story of how an energy drink took over football. Chapter 1. The Red Bull empire began in their hometown of Salzburg, when they bought the club SV Austria Salzburg in 2005 and changed the name of the club to Red Bull Salzburg. This wasn't a sponsorship deal on a jersey. This was a complete corporate takeover that would serve as the blueprint for global domination. The acquisition sent shockwaves through Austrian football. Fans of the original Austria Salzburg were quick to form another club who were in color, badge, and essence, much closer to the original. The message was clear. Red Bull wasn't interested in tradition. They were interested in revolution. Mateschitz believed in something that traditional football owners didn't. In his eyes, sports weren't just about winning trophies. They were about building a brand that could transcend borders, cultures, and industries. Red Bull Salzburg became the first laboratory of this radical marketing experiment. Red Bull's football strategy was clear from the start. Build a brand, not just a trophy cabinet. Instead of wasting money on aging superstars and expensive short-term fixes, they did the opposite. They focused on finding and developing young talent, kept ticket prices affordable, and insisted on playing entertaining, attacking football. This aggressive, high-energy style football matched their brand's image and kept their fans excited. Some would say that they were playing halal ball. As one analyst put it, Red Bull's football network became one of the most initiative and effective talent production machines in modern football. Each club was meant to reflect Red Bull's image of energy, youth, and adventure. In practical terms, that meant youth academies and scouts were top priorities. Tickets never went through the roof, and the team's playing style were bold and excited by design. Other clubs might chase big names or charge premium prices, but Red Bull's clubs built loyal fan bases by being affordable and fun to watch. All of this was strategic, not an accident. While other clubs used football merely to sell their jerseys, Red Bull treated entire teams as their ads. They created a unified playing philosophy so that players could move between Red Bull teams seamlessly and always represent the brand consistently. This philosophy would be the key that guided Red Bull in everything that they did. Before we get into this video, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel because you do not want to miss any of the new videos we're posted. We're doing a long form video every week and you do not want to miss it, so make sure to subscribe and do it now. Chapter 2. After conquering Austria, Red Bull spread its wings across the ocean. In 2006, the company bought the MLS club Metro Stars and rebranded it as the New York Red Bulls. This gave Red Bulls a foothold in the rapidly growing American market and another team to develop players in, while also adding another piece of their multi-club network. In New York, as in Salzburg, the club focused on youth development and branding. The American venture showed that Red Bulls could replicate its model outside Europe and set the stage for an even bigger leap. But the biggest test came in Germany. Because of the 50+1 rule, Red Bulls could not simply buy a top German club outright. So in 2009, they took an initiative shortcut. They bought a tiny fifth-tier side called SSV Markranstädt, relocated it to Leipzig, and renamed it RB Leipzig. From there, they poured money into coaching and facilities and pushed the team up the divisions. German fans reacted with horror and anger. To many traditional supporters, RB Leipzig was a plastic marketing product, lacking any authentic history. In 2014, for example, away fans dressed in black and handed out pamphlets declaring football culture is dying in Leipzig. Union is alive. Across the country, you saw banners equating Red Bull with the death of football, and some fans even boycotted games in protest. However, Red Bulls didn't care about the hatred, it cared about the results. And on the pitch, RB Leipzig delivered. By 2016, they had reached the Bundesliga. By 2020, they were in the UEFA Champions League semi-finals. The club's exciting style and young stars like Marcel Sabitzer, Dayot Upamecano, and more forced the critics to grudgingly admit the football was good, even if the organization was artificial. Red Bulls didn't stop in Europe. In 2019, they expanded into South America by taking a controlling stake in Brazil's club Atlético Bragantino, rebranded it to Red Bull Bragantino. Brazil is a football factory, so this move gave Red Bulls direct access to an incredible talent pool. Red Bull Bragantino now serves as a showcase. Young South American players can come through Brazil into Red Bull's system, potentially moving on to Salzburg, Leipzig, or other clubs if they shine. Each new club followed the same pattern. Red Bulls identifies a promising but under-resourced team, invests in in youth and infrastructure, swaps it in colors and logos, and makes the club a showcase for young talent. Success on the field was always meant to raise the profile of a brand off it. Chapter 3. Over the years, a clear pattern emerged. Red Bull clubs acted as steps on a ladder for top prospects. Many talented players moved eternally from Salzburg to Leipzig, or from New York to Leipzig, etc. For example, Austrian international Marcel Sabitzer and Peruvian striker Jordi Reina both transferred from Salzburg to Leipzig. This wasn't just random trading, it was like a deliberate conveyor belt. The system is built on shared scouting and unidentified football philosophy. Red Bull training programs, tactics, and identities are standardized so a player fits in any Red Bull team. As one study notes, Red Bull Network is a place where talent flows seamlessly and values multiply year after year. In practice, a teenager might be signed in Brazil, developed in Salzburg, and promoted to Leipzig when ready for a bigger stage. A recent example is American midfielder Caden Clark. He burst onto the scene with New York Red Bulls, scoring in his first MLS matches. In mid-2021, he was transferred to RB Leipzig, and then immediately loaned back to New York for the rest of the season. The plan was clear: let him keep developing at home before bringing him to Europe. Clark's path illustrates the pipeline. Identify a young star, give him some experience, then move him through the network. The pipeline isn't about trophies, it's a business. Red Bull's primary goal has become developing young players and selling them for profit. The revenue from these transfers is then plowed back into the system, into academies, stadiums, and buying new prospects. It's a self-sustaining loop. This model has turned Red Bull's clubs into valuable assets. For instance, consider the New York Red Bulls. Red Bull bought the Metro Stars for about $25 million in 2006, and by recent estimates, the club is worth nearly $290 million. That kind of growth illustrates the financial upside of this strategy. Red Bull can afford to keep ticket prices low and salaries in check because their investment in the youth eventually pays off. More than anything, Red Bull's clubs amplify the Red Bull brand, an image of energy, youth, and adventure. They didn't try to mimic old guard clubs. They created something new that fans could relate to. Bright, modern stadiums full of young supporters became the norm at Red Bull teams. Each club's logo and the "Give You Wings" slogan serve as constant reminders that these teams double as marketing. Red Bull didn't just create a football empire, they changed the rules of the game. For decades, football clubs were community institutions, owned by local people, passed down through the generations, and rooted in their city's traditions. But Red Bull looked at football differently, not as a heritage project, but as a global business opportunity. This model worked so well, it inspired others. The City Football Group, led by Manchester City's Abu Dhabi owners, copied the blueprint almost exactly, buying clubs in Spain, Australia, US, Japan, Brazil, and even China. Chelsea's new American owners are now trying the same thing, snapping up feeder clubs to build their own global pipeline. It's no exaggeration to say that Red Bull showed the world a new playbook: multi-club ownership. Instead of one team, you own a network. Instead of depending on the transfer market, you create your own. But not everyone is so happy about it. For traditionalists, this is the death of football and what it's supposed to be. Where once a kid could dream of playing for their hometown club, now that same club might just be a stepping stone in someone else's global empire. And yet, for all the criticism, the results are undeniable. Young players are getting chances they would have never gotten otherwise. Red Bull turned Salzburg into a factory for future stars, and Leipzig into a Champions League contender. In many ways, they forced football to evolve. Red Bull didn't just join football, they rewired it. When Mateschitz launched Red Bulls in the 80s, he wanted to sell a drink that gives you wings. He probably didn't imagine that one day his brand would give football wings. But here we are, from Salzburg to Leipzig, from New York to Sao Paulo. Red Bull clubs are everywhere. Their football, youth pipelines, and unapologetically corporate identity has reshaped the sport. The legacy is complicated. They've created opportunity, but also controversy. They've brought football into the future, but at the cost of tradition. And maybe that's the point. Football was never going to stay the same forever. The question is whether the next generation of fans will see Red Bulls as the villains who stole the soul of the game, or the visionaries who showed us what it could become. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe. It takes a lot of time for us to do these videos, and it would mean the world to me. Thank you for all of those who have already subscribed and don't think that I don't see you. Thank you so much. As always, I'm Ian Castro. See you tomorrow.